the representation of women in cyber security is only 11%, around 11%. Maybe it would have increased a bit now, but this is the data point of almost a year back. What is the reason behind this and how this can be improved? So today we have eminent speaker Priya Madhavan from NASSCOM speaking about the cybersecurity skills. This will be followed by panel discussion on the topic diffidence or dearth, which will be moderated by Chitra Murli, who is Honorary Treasurer of ISACA Chennai chapter. I take this opportunity to introduce Priya Madhavan. Priya Madhavan has around 27 years of experience in creating and nurturing business lines and some of the largest players in the IT services industry like Cognizant and Wipro. Journey started in 1994 as the typical entrant programmer and went to head business unit at Cognizant. From 2013, she had the benefit of working in cybersecurity as the global delivery head of security practice at Cognizant, have presented few papers in international forums, moved out of corporate world into industry body DSCI, NASSCOM initiative, as industry lead to focus on making India a global talent hub for security. Since April 2019, she is with NASSCOM Future Skills, whose main charter is to help address skilling, reskilling, upskilling of over 4 million people in India by 2025. Her current focus is on scaling cybersecurity skilling across B2B, B2A, and B2C. From ISACA Chennai chapter, I welcome Priya, and the forum is yours. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Yamuna, for the
Priya, 1 minute. Sorry, I have made you co-host. You can now share your screen, and I will mute all others. I will just mute everyone, and you can unmute and speak, so that now there is no one coming.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you so much.
Priya, you have to unmute now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you so much for the nice introduction, Jamuna. And let's get started with the presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you can see my screen.
It's visible, Priya.
Super. Super. So I'm going to start off this presentation stating the obvious, that there is a huge demand for cybersecurity skills, and there's a big gap between the supply and demand. And digital transformation is just fueling the divide more. So the demand is further increasing and the supply needs to catch up. While this is happening, we do have the hackers constantly honing their skills, becoming more and more efficient. And digital and enterprises, when they become digital, the opportunities they are more vulnerable, and opportunities for cyber attack is even more. So this is adding to the demand and encouraging all of us to see how we could have talent workforce to handle the demand in cybersecurity. So what I have for today is I have split this topic. Jamuna actually gave me a wide range of playground. So I'm going to be my talk is going to be on 5 different topics. First, I'm going to be talking to you all about what the tech industry is doing and its role in meeting India's digital dream. The second is the demand for cybersecurity skills. The third is what are we doing to bridge the gap? The fourth one is what is the government doing to handle the need for digital talent? And finally, what is women doing in cybersecurity today? So this is so inspiring to see. This is based from the NASSCOM McKinsey report that was published in 2021. IT services sector continues to be the prime driver for India's economy and its digital dream. We have about 4.5 million people working in this sector, and this contributes to about 8% of the nation's GDP. And there are over 12,500 startups in India looking into tech services. And 52% of Indian services export is through software services. And there are over 1,000 global delivery centers across the world. And we are getting almost about 11.8 billion worth of investment happening into ITs. So it's indeed a great pride that we can say that we are part of the Indian tech industry. So what is digitization doing to the world economy? So digitization actually is going to really transform the economy. And MGI, which is McKinsey Global Institute, they predict that there's going to be an additional 13 trillion USD by 2030 is going to get added to the GDP through digitization alone. So companies are going to be embracing AI, big data, cloud in a very competitive way to make a difference for them. And if you look at it, we are today already seeing usage of AI and big data. And typical solutions are marketing and sales. And I think all of us have experienced the customer preferences, the kind of next product to buy, the kind of updates that we keep getting because of our actions on the internet, which is being tracked and analyzed and recommended to us what needs to be done. So for the businesses to have a difference in them. And supply chain actually has made a lot of difference in terms of protecting the hyper regional demand, the field force scheduling, optimization. All of this has actually created a huge differentiation for the enterprises. And retail industry apparently has got 32% boost because of usage of AI. And usage of these technologies is not just limited to few verticals, it's across the board. And high-tech companies have got about 15% increase in marketing and sales type of application, and about 32% increase in the supply chain initiative. So what does all this mean? These digitization increases complexity. And when you say we are going up the digital value chain, it's going to lead to more and more complexity. So the enterprises need to be very critical about what are the crown jewels that they really need to protect and how can they exploit the speed and agility to have speed and agility becomes a key for a successful enterprise. And if we look at the global cybersecurity spend itself, we are seeing almost by 2023 a 11% CAGR increase in the global spend of cybersecurity. And this is a very interesting data that we have here. Like from 2019 to 2023, the government vertical, BFSI, manufacturing, high tech, this is of course the global data, they're going to increase the cybersecurity spend by over 70%. For some data, like some, this is not like a thing that you could take across the board. Each enterprises have different. So some enterprises typically have anywhere between 2 to 5% of their IT budget as their security spend. And if it's going to be 2 to 3%, like let's assume 2% of their IT budget is going to be security spend today. Like in 2023, it's almost going to be 3.5% of the IT budget is going to be spent on cybersecurity. And as I was telling when I started, this revolution of digitization is not limited to few industries, it's across the board, as you can rightly see it. Now let's come to what this all means to India. How can this be a game changer? It is indeed a game changer. So this emerging technology for digitization actually creates a $1 trillion opportunity for India. So digital ecosystems can create almost a 1 trillion economic value and about 65 million jobs by 2025. So this is a huge opportunity for India, and actually it is in line to make India the global hub for digital talent. And what does this mean? Like, we will have about 40 to 45 million workers needs to be reskilled to be deployed for these jobs, because the skills that are required now are probably now and going forward are probably not what they already have as of today. And when I started with, I said 4 million, 4.5 million are the people today in the IT sector. There was a study that was done which said if almost like 50 to 60% of this existing workforce needs to get reskilled by 2022, 2023, otherwise they become obsolete. They actually will not be able to contribute effectively to their enterprises. So there is a real need for the individuals to reskill. And as we saw, IT, IT tech services contributes to 8% of our GDP. And if 50% of our workforce are not going to be adequately skilled, then that's going to be an impact on our GDP too. So the transformation is needed, reskilling, upskilling is needed for the individual, for the enterprise, and for India to become the global hub for digital talent. So that's the opportunity ahead. And as we rightly know, there is a huge gap, there is a skill gap, and that's the challenge that needs to get addressed. And as we stand today, the demand is 8 times more than what's available. And if it goes in the same way, this is more for the freshers market. If it goes in the same fashion, it's going to be 20 times more by 2024. And 80% of the engineers who come out of our engineering colleges are actually unemployable for the jobs in the knowledge economy. So that is something which is a serious concern which needs to get addressed. So what's the solution for all of this? So there is a massive trust on skilling and upskilling. And incidentally, it is these type of digital skills are not just limited to IT sector. It is actually these skills are required even for people who are not playing a typical IT role. So to meet this is what Government of India, MITI, and NASSCOM have actually come up with a skilling platform, which I will be talking in my fourth section. So this is what is there as of today. We have the share of digital in the demand is about 35%. We need 35% workforce, but whereas we have only 26%, there's a gap of 10% points as of now. And when we say digital skills, it's essentially AI, big data, cloud, mobility, machine learning, and cyber. So this is the status as of today. And if nothing much is going to be acted upon, this 10% points is going to become 30% points by 2025. So this is the huge challenge that we have, which needs to get addressed. And we want to play an active part in this goal of making India the global hub for digital skills. So think digital, think India. In 2015, the revenue that IT services industry produced was about 132 billion, of which the digital revenue was about 10%. Today, it's about 28 to 30%. 190 billion is the revenue that we produce. And in 2025, it's expected to be almost 50 to 60% of the revenue. And that's why I said that there is a need to reskill the people if they have to start contributing in the digital technology. And the aim is to be around the services industry to be around 300 to 350 billion by 2025. So these are the key technology areas of focus: cloud services, artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, customer experience, and IoT. I just want to spend a little bit of time here. So I do understand that ISACA has varied people. You have a lot of auditors here, you have tech people, you have IT people, you have cybersecurity people, and all of them. So I just want to call out one point here. So the auditors who are today playing the role as an IT auditor actually will need to play a very significant role in the digital transformation because of adoption of cloud that will happen as part of the digital transformation. So there would be a need for the auditors to actually be conversant in cloud security technology. So I think they're probably called cloud auditors. So there is a need for the cloud auditors to be comfortable with the cloud technology. They should be able to make the assessment of the security controls in the information system to determine the extent to which the controls are implemented. Are they operating as intended? Are they producing the desired outcomes? So, when they have to do these activities, it is very important that they understand what the cloud ecosystem is, what should be audited, what should be reviewed, how should the controls be reviewed, how do they verify if things are working right, and is it actually meeting the desired outcome. For example, if you have something like a identity provider that is being used, and for us it could be Aadhaar. So if it is being used by the cloud service, maybe my SaaS application is going to go to an identity provider, verify the identity that I've provided. There's no identity being stored in my system. Is there anywhere a leak of this information happening? Is there anywhere this data is getting transmitted without encryption? So would it affect to a breach at a later point in time? So these are various things that that the auditor will need to be aware of, so that they ask the right questions to the implementers, so they will be able to assess if the security controls are met, if the regulations that are required for those industries are met. Now, going to the next section of my presentation, I was talking to you all about the cybersecurity demand. Apparently today, there are about 110,000 people in the cybersecurity field. And we from DSCI and Future Skills actually worked with a company and came up with a model which is based on AI/ML and natural language processor. This data is for 3 months data. Of course, you would have to take this with a pinch of salt, because the data is not over a long duration. This data is for about 3 months period. And of course, with further refining of models and with removing of certain biases, certain factors, the model will probably become more rich. But nonetheless, this gives you a picture of what is the open positions. So it's 53 now. If we take like 20% error, it's still about 40K open positions that are there in the cybersecurity sector. And interestingly, there's about 14% of this in the user industry. When I say user industry, it is everything from manufacturing to retail to pharma to healthcare and all of that. So this requirement of cybersecurity skills is not limited to just the IT services industry or the GCC, which is the global competency centers or the captives that they used to be called earlier. There is a big requirement in the user industry too. Though a significant portion of user industries cybersecurity job gets outsourced to either an Indian service provider or an MNC, but there is a need for certain in-house security talent which the enterprises need to have. And probably that's why you can see there is a big demand for cybersecurity skills even within the user enterprise. And there was a lot of study that we did. There were about 100, the model came up with about 140 different security roles. And we kind of mapped it to 12 different categories. And this is how the mapping is. Analyst, when we say analyst, we actually group together the analyst, which could be a SOC analyst, which could be an IAM analyst or an endpoint analyst and things like that. So all of those are clubbed here, and that's what is put across here. And if you can see, there are openings in things like data privacy. Probably people were not calling this for earlier. There are openings in digital forensics. There's openings in hardware IoT. So this is what we are seeing as the demand for the cybersecurity roles in India. This was a study which was done by DSCI on the cybersecurity services industry in 2020. And this report is very interesting. So obviously, all of them need to bridge the gap. And when I talk to the enterprises, most of them are saying their cybersecurity practice actually would grow anything beyond 60% or 70% year on year growth. Nobody is talking about 8% or 10%. Our IT industry is growing about 8% to 10%, probably 12% this year. But the security services business in these IT organizations are saying that we have the ability to grow 100%, but we don't have the people to execute it. So 50-60% is definitely what they have the potential to grow. They have opportunity. They probably have the people also to execute it. And if they had more people, then probably the business would grow even more. So the various things that they are looking at is obviously they're trying to do the hiring for talent. The biggest interest to us is 37% of these companies are focusing on reskilling the existing workforce. And this very well ties to our initial point of saying that the existing workforce need to get reskilled for the benefit of everybody. So 37% of the respondents said that they would like to upskill their existing workforce. And about 22% was going in for partnership models where they would partner with an academia and then, ensure that they have the right talent. So this was a projection in 2010, about 110,000 resources, and probably we are today at 130 or 140,000 resources. And this is the typical talent pool that we have in India. So across the board, you have an analyst, you have information security, forensic, pen tester, IoT, all of the various roles that you see here. So the focus that came out from this is companies are looking to reskill. So what is it that we could do to help the companies in this journey? So I will talk about our pathway that we created. But incidentally, when I was just putting together the slide, I was just thinking, is there somewhere a thought that is very similar to exercise that we carried out? So apparently ISC Squared has come up with this report, Cybersecurity Career Pursuer Study, which is so much in line with what we are talking about. So this data says that 50% of the people who started in IT have moved to security. And this is people with less than 3 years. And between 3 to 7 years, if they had started in IT, then they are moving into cybersecurity roles. And 54% is above 8 years who are moving into cybersecurity roles who started their career as an IT person. This is a very interesting data, which I thought will tie well with what we had done. The next thing is people not in completely a different field, need not even be IT, but they are transitioning to IT, cybersecurity. This we said is IT people transferring to cybersecurity. This is completely a different field who are moving into cybersecurity. So these are huge numbers. You see 26% of the people are moving into cybersecurity in 15 and 21. And these were two interesting data points, which actually ties in with what we did as part of an SIG group that we have constituted, which Archana is also part of, and Shailaja is also part of it, who is going to be on your panel after my talk. So when we saw that there is a need for reskilling within the enterprise, we were looking at what are the roles that we should actually look at, the neighboring or the adjacent roles, which could move into cybersecurity. And one such was networks. So people who are today playing a role in networks could actually move into a cybersecurity role with a little bit of training. So that's what we took as a first exercise, and Archana was a key member of this. And I would like to quickly share with you, I will show you one of the roadmaps that we did, where we moved a network specialist into a SOC analyst. We have actually mapped about 10 different roles uh, for a person who was a network engineer into 10 different roles into security. He could be a SOC analyst, he could be a pen tester, he could be an IAM specialist, or he could be a forensic guy, or he could be a tech support person. So like this, we had actually looked at about 10 different roles. And this is what we came up as the SIG. The SIG actually came up with this. And so this, anybody who want to move from network to SOC analyst need not sit and recreate, every enterprise need not sit and recreate the approach. So we said this approach was given by the industry experts who are part of SIG. So anybody could actually look at it and adopt it. This has been taken very well by the enterprises, and we have keen interest from large service providers to actually implement this in their organization. So what we did was, initially, of course, we said how they could move, 3 simple steps to move. So first of all, who is a SOC analyst? Explain a network person who is a SOC analyst. Once they know who the SOC analyst, we say, what are the skills that are required for that individual? Where can this person pick up the skills? So there is Future Skills Portal, there are industry certifications, there is NASSCOM ebooks that are available. And to top it all, everybody expects an assessment, and they could appear for NASSCOM SSC assessment and get a certificate. And then finally say, yes, now I know what SOC is, I've learned it, and I'm ready to go. They become a SOC analyst. And what is the impact of the SOC analyst? So this gives them pride that their job actually makes a difference. And of course, this was our SIG team, which actually contributed to making this happen. So you see people from various organizations involved in this activity. And this is what we have come up as one activity to bridge the gap in terms of reskilling initiative. So as I said, this was one of the things that we did to come up with a ready reckoner, which people could use and just follow it instead of reinventing the wheel every time they are getting into the reskilling exercise. So how do we bridge the gap? So we saw the impact of digitization, then we saw the demand in cybersecurity, then we are trying to see how we can bridge the gap. So of course, there is college education. And apparently, when we did the exercise of the demand supply using the AI ML model, we figured out there are about 180 colleges in India offering BTech, MTech degrees in cybersecurity. It's BTech cybersecurity, MTech cybersecurity. It's not BTech computer science with the cybersecurity specialization. These are hardcore cybersecurity degrees itself. And incidentally, we found that after Tamil Nadu, it was Dehradun, which had the maximum number of students coming out with the BTech and BTech cybersecurity qualification. Of course, people can look at certification courses. People can actually do the reskilling on the job as we spoke. Upskilling, one such example which I mentioned was about, from the auditor perspective, an IT auditor, how he or she could become a cloud security auditor. And similarly, people in cybersecurity, if they have very good knowledge on the networks and they are actually doing the SOC type of a role, can they progress to become a security architect type of a role? What are the additional skills that they need to have? And if we have somebody from like an IAM person, and probably an IAM expert, but has little knowledge on the infrastructure. So if he or she picks up the infrastructure knowledge, how can the person groom themselves to be a security architect so that they have a complete view? So those are the upskilling things that people can look at. And of course, looking at the platforms that government is coming up with for reskilling and upskilling, and probably guided career movement, like the ones that we had come up with, a career pathway. And with mentor support, people could actually look at how they could guide their career movement into the relevant fields of cybersecurity, which is of their interest. So this is the platform. So what's government doing? This is the platform from government. So Ministry of IT and NASSCOM Future Skills have come up with a platform, and this is the focus of this platform is to actually skill about 4 lakh people by 2023. So that's the target that we have. The platform has rich content across the digital skills that we were talking about, and it gives a very nice experience to the learners. You have skills passport, which people can use. You have badges, which people can flaunt in the social media. And people can use the platform to learn anything on the 10 digital skills that we have, which is AI, big data, cloud, IoT, cyber, AR, VR, RPA, blockchain, etc. And we also have 10 professional skills on the platform, which is communication, design thinking, critical thinking, and stuff like that. And this platform is meant for every Indian citizen. So anybody, IT professional or a non-IT professional, a job seeker, a fresh recruit, a government employee, anybody can use this platform. The only criteria being the person has to be an Indian citizen and he or she has to be over the age of 18. So I'll quickly walk you through the platform. I know we don't have too much time. I think we have another 10 minutes.
Yes, Priya.
10 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5:40, another 5 minutes, and then in case you want to take questions.
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll quickly share my. I'll just go to the. Yeah. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. So just for you all can go ahead and type this URL and explore the screen, explore this entire app. But I thought I'll quickly take a real 2-minute walkthrough of this for you all. So you can go sign in. You could use your credentials of all of that thing that you saw. And so as I said, these are the different technologies that is there here, the 10 technologies that I spoke about. Similarly, you have the 10 professional skills. And then you have industry and government approved courses across these technology. What does this mean? We as NASSCOM Sector Skill Council have actually arrived at standards for these technologies in consultation with the industry work group. So industry work group was created for each and every technology who are experts in those areas. And they have come up with what are the competencies the individual should have. And we have come up with those competencies and then defined the job roles for them using those competencies and actually have got the government approval on that. And when there is a course which is aligned to that, it becomes industry and government approved courses. And for these courses is where you can have the assessment. And once you clear the assessment, over a period of time, you would get the government incentive. Actually, government is going to incentivize every learner on this platform, and a learner can get up to 12,000 rupees from the government if they complete an industry aligned course and complete the assessment successfully. So so the government is actually trying to motivate people to reskill and upskill. So this is what is there on the platform, and I would just quickly like to show you about if somebody is new. So these are the courses that we have. I'll go back here. So anybody, if, as I said, probably we may not know enough of artificial intelligence, or we may not know enough of analytics, but our job role may require that. So what people can do is they can actually go and then start off. There's something called as getting started. For every technology, we have something called as getting started. So people who are new to the technology can actually go read this getting started. And then if they are interested, then they can do further deep dive in it. So that's how it's been set up. And or anything which is a pathway, if you complete the pathway, you get something called as a digital badge. And so, sorry. So you get something like a digital badge, and these badges you can actually share it on a LinkedIn. So especially young learners, they feel very happy that they can flaunt across the social media what they have learned or not. So this is like a super high overview of this, but I would really recommend you all to go sign into this platform and explore this platform. And if there is, and this platform also has a chat bot. So if there are any queries, you could actually take the help of the chat bot. So coming back to the presentation. So as I said, it has learners, very relevant content, which will motivate the learners and help them get the badges and also get the incentive from the government for actually learning. And this is a government supported initiative, and there's content from various content partners. There are OEMs, like we have partnership with AWS, Microsoft, Adobe, few more are Cisco, and few more are there, where the partners actually bringing their content, and mostly the content is free that's made available on the platform. Nonetheless, it would be free on, like for example, Microsoft, the content would be free on their platform, but people, if they are coming through Prime, probably will get some kind of benefit in terms of the certification cost that they will need to pay otherwise. So all the effort is being put together by MIT and NASSCOM Future Skills to provide a digital platform for learning for everybody in India to ultimately meet the dream of making India the global hub for digital skills. So as I said, people could just start with digital fluency, getting started. And if they like it, then they can go look at some more information, which could probably little deep dive content on it. And yeah, if they say, yes, I like it, then they can actually go do further deep dive courses itself, which could be a foundational level course, or it could be a competency aligned course. So this is the continuous digital journey. It doesn't have to stop. You get started with the digital fluency, do a foundation course, do courses for foundation or competency, and then you get a certificate, and this journey keeps going on. Finally, coming back to what Jamuna had mentioned, women in cybersecurity, Jamuna, apparently 11% is a dated information, and today they say 24%, and they actually give the justification of why 11 and 24 and how within such a short time frame how 11% became 24. The explanation that they give is earlier they were looking at people who were doing pure play cybersecurity roles. But later on, they've extended this to people who probably are IT guys or probably non-IT guys spending about 25% of their time in cybersecurity roles. So that is how they have increased the segment. And also the vertical that they were looking at. Earlier, I think they were looking mainly into government and banking, but now they have actually looked across all sectors, and for people who are not just called cybersecurity professionals, but are called something else, but doing cybersecurity as part of their work. So that's why we see an increase in number, which is 24% and not 11%. And as you can see here, the women are actually competing and growing in the leadership ladder. So across all the board, be it VPIT or be it CISO, be it CTO, CTO is very impressive, like 7 light green is women and 2 is men. So women apparently are growing in their leadership role. And just to give an example of me, I was not into security till 2013. And I was given an opportunity to head the practice. And I'm sure we have Archana and Shailaja to add to this. So it's a good news that women are there and also climbing the leadership positions. And the roles, if you look at it across the field, this representation is almost same. Like the women engineers are probably doing all of these roles: security threat, data security, network architecture, security consulting, be it in the cloud environment. So there's no distinction saying that, okay, women are only typecasted to a certain role. Across the roles, there's a good representation of both women and men. And Cyber Siksha is an initiative from DSCI along with Microsoft, which is actually looking at skilling women in cybersecurity, women from tier 2, tier 3 cities. They are selected, people who have finished their engineering or MCA are selected. They are made to undergo a 4 months strenuous training, and then they are actually put into jobs. Like they are open for jobs in cybersecurity. So that's what DSCI is doing along with Microsoft for looking at women in tier 2, tier 3 cities. And we in the SIG group, cybersecurity SIG, which has been put together by DSCI and Future Skills, our representation is 40% women and 60% men. So we are better than the 24% which is there in the workforce. So I do see a significant improvement of women moving into cybersecurity. Maybe this was not the case a few years back, but there is a good positive trend that we are seeing going forward. So with that note, thank you for this opportunity. It was very nice speaking to you all about all of this, but I'm not sure how much time we have to interact. It would be good. I'm open to questions. I can stop sharing.
Thank you, Priya. I would, rather than opening up questions, I'll ask Chitra to open up the chat, and then, whatever questions that have come, or I'll start off myself from the chat. What are some of the critical areas which employees need to reskill to?
Sorry, what was the question?
What are some of the critical areas which employees need to reskill to? There's one question in the chat.
This is it's an open-ended question. Are they saying reskill to cybersecurity? Okay, I can see the question. What are some of the critical areas which employees need to reskill into? Okay, so I think it's probably more open-ended. So as we saw, there were 5 technologies which was driving the digitization: AI, big data, cloud, cybersecurity, IoT. So people can pick any of these skills to reskill themselves and be relevant in the digital economy.
Most of the others are more of comments.
There's one more question. Swayam being a government initiative to develop various skills, including digital, how was Future Skills different from this?
Yeah, Future Skills does end-to-end in terms of NASSCOM SSC is the body which defines the standards for these technology. And these standards, as I said, are by the industry work group. And SSC means Sector Skill Council, and NASSCOM SSC is responsible for the ITES sector of India. Like that, you have some 30 odd SSCs, textiles and carpentry and stuff like that. So SSC is responsible for ITES, and the standards are being developed for these technologies. And on our platform, we will have content from various partners which align to these standards. People can go pick up the courses and they can also get certified. NASSCOM is a certifying body for industry aligned courses. So people can actually go get the certification. So it's end to end. You do something based on a standard, you do a course and you get your certification. So that's the difference between SWAYAM and us.
Quickly, Priya, I think people are asking for the PDF, the slides also. Is that okay for you to share the slides after this meeting?
Yeah, I think it should be fine. I can.
Okay, thank you so much. I think that will help a few people to just glimpse it through after the presentation. Thank you.
Sure.
Priya, we'll just take 2 final questions and then now we will stop because we are already overdue on time. What is the pathway for non-IT auditor to cyber security auditor?
Interesting question. I think the person, if it's, I'm not too qualified to answer, but I'll try answering this question. So I think first, instead of saying that a non-IT auditor has to have some awareness of the information system. So he or she needs to know how the information system works. But once he picks up awareness, I think they can quickly move to the cloud environment and start getting themselves equipped to a cloud auditing kind of a scenario, because the enterprises are moving towards cloud. There's no point saying that, okay, I will learn on-prem kind of environment. I'll only be aware of that. So it's better that they just understand the basics of the controls that are needed and then look at the cloud environment. Apparently, when I was looking for this information, I did find that CSA, Cloud Security Alliance, and ISACA has a certification for a cloud auditor. So I think they could probably look at that.
One last question to you, ma'am. While NASSCOM is taking initiatives commendable, what is that NASSCOM is doing for next level consulting and entrepreneurship development?
See, there's a big thing from security startup, right? We have NASSCOM 10K security startup with K-Tech Karnataka. So there are quite a bit of thing that is done by NASSCOM to enable the startups. There's a lot of policy advocacy that happens. So there's a lot of initiative happening, sir, for startups, support for startups.
Thank you, Priya. I think all good things have to come to an end. There are a few more questions, but we will have to continue with the next panel discussion. So we stop here. We can probably we can take it up offline and address those questions probably. Chitra, over to you. If you want to give a quick summary and start off with your panel discussion.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vaidhi. Thank you, Priya. That was really informative. And I think me, as well as the panelists, we are a little jittered now as to what are we going to talk other than what you have already spoken. So thank you so much. That, of course, has really set the tone for our panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity and have a nice day. Bye.